Hello everyone, that Manga Kid here to give my series review of Limit by Keiko Suinobu. This is a very old vertical title. That is kind of a horror thriller situation. Our main character is Mizuki. She is part of the kind of like popular girl group, and her class is going on a annual camping trip to a cabin in the woods, and unfortunately the bus crashes on their way there, and it's in such a secluded kind of rural location that it takes a while for the outside world to realize that there has been an accident. And so basically it turns into like Lord of the Flies, where it's just a few select people stuck in an environment where there is no access to civilization or anything, and they need to survive. Everybody else has died, and they don't really know what to do. There are no adults, and they're sort of losing it. So I didn't really know much about this title. I know that I love vertical titles, and that I had seen this cover before of the first one, and it just kind of intrigued me because I was like, well, clearly it's a horror series and I'm interested to see what it's about, but I really went into this with not much information. I found this on eBay for a good price, and so bought it and read it, and I mean, it was pretty good. It was decent. I've read better kind of stories similar to this before, but it certainly wasn't bad by any means. It definitely went in a direction I was not expecting. Some of the characters acted in ways that I was just not. I still don't understand the motive, but again, I've never been in this situation before. This is a very high stakes, kind of stressful, traumatizing experience that I've not lived through, and so therefore I can't really guess how I would act in such a situation. So who's to say what a normal reaction is? But anyway, the story basically focuses on bullying, and I just reread the back cover because I was interested to see, what it says. It's been a little while since I read this. And, it's a praise for the mangaka of like tackling modern day problems of bullying in cliques. So I guess that's the point, is that our main character is part of like the popular girl group, and we get a couple of the popular girls. We get the very much bullied student, and another quieter kind of studious girl as the survivors. And now they're in a situation where they need to rely on each other and trust each other, and there's no trust there because back at school, Mizuki and her friends would pick on this girl, and they have their own opinions about the other girls. And when you're in a situation where you need to really trust each other and work together, but there's no foundation for trust there because all there is bad blood and hard feelings about things that have been happening for years between them. Our main character is like, well, we need to come together, guys, and we need to, how do we survive this? We'll go search for food together. We'll do all of these things. We need to live, and we just watched all of our classmates die, and we need to band together so we can survive this. And the bullied girl is like, no thanks. No, I'm not interested in being friendly with you. I don't care what situation we're in. I'm now in a position where I can be as cruel to you as I want to be, because you've been cruel to me for years. And there's no repercussions for my actions here because we're probably all going to die anyway, and nobody knows we're out here. So it kind of turns into a who has the weapon, who is in charge, who has the power, and how do I make everybody else miserable? And yeah, it's a pretty scary thought, and honestly, like, it does do a good job of being like, okay, these kids have just survived something very traumatic, so there's that. But then also, some of them are coming from very troubled, traumatic lives just generally outside of this situation. So carrying that baggage into the situation and then carrying the hard feelings and resentment that some of these people have towards each other is not a good recipe for survival. um, so yeah, definitely a lot happens in these 6 volumes. And if you're looking for a survival horror story, um, this is a very, very good one. The art's pretty decent. Um, there's some pretty like to be expected horror-esque kind of facial expressions. There's a lot of you know, what do you call it? Like flashbacks and stuff to childhoods, backstories, things that were happening at school, that sort of stuff. And our main character is kind of one of those girls that, she's in the popular group, but she doesn't feel like she fits in there. And she just kind of like surface level laughs at everything, even though she doesn't think it's funny, and just tries to get by. She doesn't want to be ostracized. She doesn't want to be an outsider. And so she's kind of just gone along with the whims of her friends for years because she doesn't want to be the one on the outside. And so she's in this position where she's like, well, we can all be friends. We can all be great. Like, I don't actually mean any of those things that I did. Whereas to the people that she was, bullying, or being impartial to the bullying of other students, like, she's just as guilty as the girls who were doing the bullying because she stood there and laughed and she stood there and did nothing about it. So yeah, it was definitely a fun read because I do really like horror stories, and I like this length is good. 6 volumes is good. These are pretty small. These are smaller than like Ajin or the original Flowers of Evil single volumes or Flying Witch. Like Vertical does small volumes, but these are very small. This I think was released in like 2012 or something by Vertical. And so I guess this was a size that they were using back then. I don't know if they released anything else in this size. I'd be interested to know because these are tiny. Yeah, I do like this size. It's closer to the Japanese volume size, and obviously it saves shelf space when the volumes are this small. So I am not mad about that. But yeah, Limit was very interesting. I think that if you come across it for a decent price, absolutely pick it up. I wouldn't say break the bank for it. Like, I don't think personally that it's something that you want to be spending, more than cover price on or whatever. It is out of print, but I wouldn't go nuts trying to find it unless you're a huge fan of this mangaka. But I personally don't know anything else by this creator. Not even sure if we have anything else in English by this creator. But yeah, I mean, if you come across it like I did for a decent price, pick it up, try it out. It's definitely worth a read, and it's definitely a wild ride for what it is. And yeah, it was pretty good. If you read this, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. If you have any other recommendations on some shorter kind of horror series survival stuff, let me know. Like some recommendations. Thanks for watching.